All right. So we have a first Jenkins instance up. None of you will be able to access it. Can you just try jenkins.lotusops.com?
Okay. Oh, can't reach.
Can't reach. That's a good sign. Give me 1 second.
Port 8080?
No, just jenkins.lotusops.com.
Yeah, still can't reach.
Sure. That's what I expected it to be, but don't worry. Let me just close stuff that I don't need. All right. Everybody go to what is my IP in Google and paste your IP out in the chat. Let me know once everybody is in there.
Yeah, I sent.
Okay. Everybody else is trying it, right?
Yes, Samir. IPv6 is fine, or do we need IPv4?
No, IPv4.
Okay, okay.
You can look at what I'm doing here. I'm changing the Jenkins LB security group, adding Romana. Romana, you can try now.
Jenkins.lotusops.com, right?
You should at least see the login page.
No.
No?
No.
Is that your right IP address? The one that you gave me, 98.23.20?
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me add others and then we can troubleshoot yours. Whoever was 69.132 can try. I think Sojourner, you can try. It is this, okay? And put a HTTPS in front if you don't have it, Romana. Try that one. Jyoti, I'm still waiting for yours.
Sent. I have already sent it, Samir. 73.45.133.
Where is it? Where did you send it? Oh, okay,
Chat.
this one.
I can access as well, Samir.
You're able to access, Romana?
With HTTPS, yes.
Yeah, I have just enabled it for HTTPS, nobody else. And 73. Everybody else except Jyoti should be able to access now. The URL is in there in the chat. Jyoti also should be able to access now.
Yes, Samir. We
All
are
of
ready.
It's jenkins.lotusops.com, right?
it is already there in the chat, Saujanya. The last message in the chat.
Okay.
Just click on it, don't type it. It's the HTTPS endpoint. Okay, so we will see how I've set up everything, but let's move forward and enjoy this game for some time, and then we'll come back to the hard part. So I'm going to go ahead and add some users for now directly, and then we'll see how to do it with authorization. So Jyoti. Jyoti, what's your email address?
Jyoti, yes, Challa, yes. Challa, CHALLA @gmail.com.
Okay. Mansa.
Yes.
Jyoti, you can try with your first name and then password is first name. And at the end, write current year.
Okay.
Mansa, tell me your email address.
Mansa6355 @gmail.
I thought earlier you had some 611 something. You
Yeah.
have all sort of numbers. You can try the same thing. Password has the 2022 at the end.
Yeah,
First
sure.
name.
Yeah. Try.
Romana, tell me yours.
First name dot last name @gmail.com.
Saujanya, are you able to access?
Yes, Samir.
Romana, you can try with yours. First name 2022 as the password.
All small letters, Samir, password.
Everything is small. I will tell you if there's anything capital. Saujanya, what's your password?
Kakarla0609 @gmail. 0609.
Everything small. First name and the password is first name 2022.
Yes, Samir. We are able to log.
Awesome. So let's look at something very, very quick. I've also created the integration with GitHub. So if I go to GitHub, Romana, are you able to log in?
No.
No?
No. Username is Romana.
Password is Romana 2022, Romana.
Okay. I was typing @
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in.
All right. I didn't want to say away the password actually, just because this is being recorded. So I was trying to be in hints. So you'll have to go ahead and change your password if you have to stay in there. All right. So this is the repository that I'll be hooking up to, at least for now. So what I've done is I've created everything else is pretty simple. You can go ahead, Google, YouTube. You'll find out how to create freestyle jobs. We've already done a freestyle job earlier. We created a Jenkins files too. So let's start with something basic, and then we'll reach out to where I am currently. Okay. So first of all, freestyle demo. This is how you go ahead and create a job. I hope you've realized how I came in here. I clicked on new item, got here. doing a freestyle job, gave a name and said, okay. Over here, I can scroll down in the source code management. If I have to really build my project, I can come in here, click on Git, and give the Git repository URL. So I'll pick up from here the repository URL and paste it in here. I have already created credentials, so we will go and see how to create credentials at a point later. Let's just get something working first. And I'll select the credential. It says everything is okay. It didn't give me any error. You can look at advanced if you want to. You want to change the branch that you want to build, so on and so forth. You can add it in ref spec. We will see that later. For now, just leave it. You can always click on this little question marks to get more information as to what it is. It's building branches to build. It's building the master. We are on main, so I'm going to change it to main. And I'll go all the way down. And I will add execute shell. Once the code has been checked out, what is it that we want to do with the code? For now, we'll just say ls minus lrt, nothing else. Okay. We just want to see what's the content there. Do a save and click on build now. Get inside here. And if you see ls minus lrt, we got our code, the Jenkins files and everything. What we had here is showing over here, so that you trust me that the code is there. Now let's see whether we can build it. Okay, so Maven clean install only. So go back to configure and so the build is started. If you look at it, and the build is failure. Why is the build failure? It says Maven compiler plugin. I think it's the version, because we are seeing 17 and on the box we have 11, which is the current one, right? So what we will do is we can either make a change here, or we could have added a variable, but for now, let's just make a change over here. We already have this.
11. It's saying 17.
Yeah, I want to see if I can add. Anybody remembers how to add the variable to this? There should be a way to add variable and warrant variable to the. Anyone remembers? Okay, find add build step in. That's where we were at build step. And do you see an warrant variable around here? I don't see that. Checked.
That should be one of the options. Project options. Over. Can you scroll up? So general. Oh no.
I mean, nobody uses Freestyle, but I just want to make sure that we look at
general.
No, as per this documentation here, it's saying something else. So you see here, it's saying create execute shell, and okay, it's saying just do this. Okay, so there's an Env Inject plugin in the following way. So if I want to add an environment variable, there's a plugin, but what I can do definitely is over here, I can do export this. Okay, you know what? Let's do something fancy. Okay, there are a couple of ways that we can do this. I will first try to do this, and there's a better way I will show you how you can do it. Let's see if this works first. May not work. I always do it in a different way. So source and target. If this does not work, I will give you a better way. Irrespective, I'll give you a better way. So that didn't work. Oh, where did I come here? You can click on this little circle to go to the logs directly. So it says not a valid identifier. Okay. If I have dots, then what should I do? Can I do this? I want you to Google, find out what to do, okay? For the export. I have told you I'll show you a better way how to do that. But I want to export a variable, which is not a valid identifier. It doesn't like it if I do it with instead of just giving up, right? It's always good to know what it is and then move to the better solution. So it is saying at least for bash, the man page defines the export syntax as this. Not a valid identifier. Let's try to see if you really need this kind of variable for some reason, you can use something like this. Okay. I'll give you the better way. So let's move here. Let's do configure. And let's come down. I will copy this part from here. And when I'm in Maven install command, I'll say -d, this equals to 11. Save it. Sorry. This is how I normally do it, but I wanted to see if I can export variable. Should be possible, but you see it's successful. So there's a lesson for you over here. What is the lesson? The lesson is if you have anything defined in your properties, that the value of those properties here can be overwritten by using -d which is the JVM argument command when invoking the Maven command. Okay, so I'm doing mv clean install -d key equals to value. So whatever is the key is the property here. I'm changing the value from 17 to 11. Does that make sense?
Yes, Samir.
Yes, sir.
I would really hope to define environment. So I liked this guy's solution here, which talked about. So there is this plugin that he's talking about, Env Inject Plug-In. Okay, so we can always look at that Env Inject Plug-in, what it does, if you want to. So it'll allow us to define environment variables when, see that build environment, when we are creating the build jobs, inject environment variable for your job. So that, let's just look at it. I'm not a big fan of adding plugins just for the sake of having plugin. Okay, since we have already solved this problem, we would not need a plugin, but just because I have to show you how to add a plugin, let's go back here and let's play around with this print en. What is this plugin? Environment injector plugin. So how do you add a plugin? And notice, so somebody created FN, right? Mansa, is that you?
No, Samir.
Jyoti?
No, Samir.
That's me. I'll delete it. Sorry.
Okay. All right. No, don't delete it. It can be there. Don't worry about it. So look at how to create, how to manage Jenkins. You can go to manage plugins. So yeah, somebody's asking something.
No.
Okay. So we are trying to add an environment injector. So manage plugin, click on available, say environment inject the plugin. So select this, download now and install after restart. You'll be kicked out right now. It will start. And we are trying to install the environment injector plugin. Now, if I go to my Freestyle Demo and go to configure, and if I go down to build steps, I should see that command now. Inject environment variables, which wasn't there earlier, if you remember. So here you can give the property file path if you want to, or property content. Okay, over here also it may not allow us to do with dot. As far as I know, it will not allow, but just if you want to, Maven dot compiler dot source equals to 17. I'm just going to add something so that it fails. But you can either give it a file with key equals to value, which I have personally never used because we always use Jenkins pipeline. Freestyle is just for us to play around with. And then if it passes, I'll remove those variable that I've defined for -d. And then I'll show you that probably it is just not working. So what I'll do is I'll comment this out. at this. And that right? Maven compiler target. Oops. Yeah. If it's working, this should be taken. Otherwise, we don't have to worry too much about it. We have better things to learn. No, that doesn't work. Okay. So I will leave that out for you. What is it saying? So it is still taking the target as 17. So it didn't really create execute shell build to profile. Okay, if you want, please explore. For now, we already have a solution, so I will leave it out. Just put it back to what was working. And we'll move forward. Okay, this should work. You can play around with it, create your own freestyle jobs, just play around. So if you see that works, what we want to do is so there's one thing that I want you to do is I would want you to specify the settings.xml file when we are running this build. Okay, and the settings.xml file, I don't want to keep it here. So we have already kept the settings.xml file here, but I would not want to use this because right now, if you see, it has encrypted password. So unless and until somebody has my settings-security.xml on this server, on the server where it is running, that -f settings.xml will really not work. Okay, so we'll play around a bit so that it fails here right now. So what I'm going to do is, instead of install, I'm going to say deploy, knowing that it'll fail. Okay, why will it fail? Because it doesn't have that settings-security.xml. And build. If you come here, if you see, it says could not resolve, not authorized. Okay, the whole reason that it's failing. So what I'm going to do is, let's see if I have WinSCP. I don't think I have WinSCP. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to my user settings security.xml. I'm going to pause for a second. So I've copied settings-security.xml, which has root permission, changing to Jenkins. If you see it now, that is what it is. Change the permission. Let me get out to this guy here and see whether I'm able to build it now. You see it's able to build now, right? It's able to deploy. So now everything that you were doing locally, you're able to do it from Jenkins. Okay, I'm going to wait here for a second and let you ask questions because there's a couple of things that we've done. You might have not followed everything. Romana, did you follow everything so far?
Samir.
Okay, no questions. Okay, Sojanya, did you follow?
Yes, Samir.
Okay, good. So now it is deploying it to JFrog, if you see, right? Lotus ops jfrog.io. So what we will do next is I want you to Google of how to specify a settings.xml file. What if I delete the settings.xml file from here? Because not a good idea to keep it here, right? Every single time. But that's my personal. If I want to use a specific settings.xml file that is for the Jenkins server, how do I define that? That's what I want you to Google. Can somebody do that? Just find a way to work around by adding. Yeah. I want this. I like this solution. There's one solution which I'm liking, not what is in here, but I can always put settings file on my server and refer it from there. But I'm trying to see if there's a better way to do it. You know what I mean, right? The same way that I've put settings.xml file on the server over here. I can put a settings file, but I don't want to do that. I want to do it per project because the settings file could potentially change per project. That's the reason why I do that. Do this one. This is the setting that I'm looking for. So there's an Invoke top level Maven project. So let's look at that, okay? Instead of shell, okay, this is still deploying. I think I'll have to increase from T2 micro, I'll have to go to a little higher level if I have to be a little faster. It's become very slow. Anybody else trying to access Jenkins right now?
Not me.
Okay. It's trying to upload something. It's gone slow. All right, so let's get to some interesting part. There's one more interesting piece that I wanted to touch before we get here, but since Jenkins is taking a little time, let's figure out what we have done so far. Okay. What I've done is I figured out a way to have the whole Jenkins and everything else that we wanted to install, right, as part of the user data. I figured out how to do that in a more elegant way. The answer to that is, if you notice here, the golden image I've commented out, whole thing, and I'm using the original image, the default image that is given by AWS in North Virginia. And if you look down here, you'll be amazed at looking this user data, right? What is this? Like, If I bring it here, what is this? Right? Nothing, it's not magic. Let me close this and save. It is this basically. So if I select it and do a Control-Shift-P and decode base64, it is the whole content that I really wanted. So if you see here, it's doing OpenJDK 11 and then setting the alternatives, installing Jenkins, enabling Jenkins, starting Jenkins, so on and so forth. And eventually it is adding Jenkins user to the Docker group. Okay. So all of this, as per the, I think I'd sent you the link yesterday, right? About the base64 user data. Didn't I send you that?
No, sir.
Samir.
So what you could do is just search for AWS user data logs, let's say. If you read through this, it clearly says if you're putting raw data, it cannot be more than 16 KB before it is base64 encoded. Anything above 16 KB, it'll just ignore it. Okay, so the best thing is to base64 encode it. You can save this in your where is WhatsApp. So you can just save that link and read about it. So what it means is you have to have base64. Now, I wanted to convert this into a base64. By default, VS Code doesn't have any extension. So I went to extension and I searched for VS Code base64. So if you want to just download this, install this basically, you can just install it. Once you've installed it, you can just create a new, like Control N will create a new file over here, temporary file for you. Just copy the content in that file, keep your cursor somewhere here, and then do a Control-Shift-P. Control-Shift-P is basically you can pass commands to it, and then you can say encode. So select all this, Control-Shift-P, encode. So it gives you this encoded text. This encoded text I took from here and I put it up into the main.tf under double quotes. So under double quotes, I just pasted it. And now this works. Okay. There is, let me clean this up from here. Maybe I can just keep it for reference. What I want to do is I want to look at the security groups. So first one is security group 1. I don't think so that's the right one. I don't want to do that. And there's a Jenkins LB security group. Okay. For Jenkins LB security group, I have already imported it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just clean this guys up a little bit from here. And I'm going to re-import it so that whatever changes I've done, I can get it. So anybody remembers what's the command to import? And I can call this as security group Jenkins. Okay, tell me what's the command to import. Nobody wants to tell. What happened? Don't remember?
I don't remember.
Don't remember.
So here I have this group instance, right? I just want the security group ID. So pick the security group ID. I have told you about importing. So if you go to Terraform, anyone basically, AWS provider, let's say, you can go anyone. It doesn't have to be AWS. And again, it doesn't have to be security group to take an example. Go to anyone you want. And then down, if you go for any provider, it gives you the command to import. So it is Terraform import, the name that you have in your local, and then the group ID. That's exactly what I'm doing. Go that side for fun. So it imported it now, right? And I'll try to do the same thing for the other one. I mean, it's already managed basically. I've already imported it. So if I do a Terraform show, I should get all of it. So this is one security group, which is Jenkins LB, and security group 1, which is the old one, which I can remove basically. So I want this, and I don't want security group 1. So we need to look at a command to remove a resource that is being monitored, because we already brought in with a different name the other one. So let's go ahead and paste this guy here. Okay, so we have Jenkins LB security group, and we have Jenkins instance security group. So this is for Stitch access. Why is it saying 00? It should be 22. It is allowing for everyone. From port should have been 22. I don't know why it is 0. We'll go look at it. Oh, you know what? That is egress. So ingress is here, which is fine. It is 22, and then it is opening up 8080 for the LB security group, this Jenkins LB security group. So what we will have to do is we'll have to take this guy from here and put it here. Start. Okay. I don't think so. We need. So let's give it a name. The name is Jenkins Instance Security Group. VPC ID is fine. Owner, I don't think so. We require. Let's remove it. This ID is not required. Remove it. ARN is not required. Remove it. Description is fine. Let's change the description to Jenkins EC2 Instance Security Group. You all are following, right? What I'm trying to do. I just imported the real data out over here because there were a lot of changes that I've done on AWS directly. So I didn't want to go back and forth and try to figure out what it is. So I'm just putting everything here, cleaning up what I don't need after I imported it. And this one will be, what did we say? Jenkins load balancer security group.
We have not imported this load balancer security group, right? So
We did. Well, we didn't, but I had already imported it before you saw it.
okay.
Yeah. So let's do that actually, since you said it. Let me import that also, because the data what is in here is not correct. So let's go ahead and import AWS security group Jenkins LBSG, right? LBSG, and then go here. and lbsg, copy from here and paste it here. Import or not. Okay. So let's see how to remove a resource that is managed by Terraform.
Can we destroy it?
No, not destroy. There should be a remove or RM.
Something called as untainted.
No, tainting is a different concept. Tainting is basically, I want to just keep it unreserved. That might be it, but let's see. Remove managed resource. State RM. That is the one. That's the one I wanted. I'll tell you what taint is. We haven't seen it. And I want to remove AWS security group dot Jenkins LBSG. Removed, right? And now I will go ahead and import it. Okay. There's one more I wanted to remove, the group 1. So let me remove that also. Good. Now if I say Terraform show, it should just show me security groups that I really want, because the ones that I don't want, I have deleted it. So if I look here, this is Jenkins LB and this is Jenkins instance SG. Okay. So I will leave SG out. I'll just copy LB and put it over here. Do the cleanup. So your IP addresses have also come here. You see that, right? Cleanup and cleanup. Control-Shift-K is what I'm clicking to remove the whole line. Terraform plan, I've changed some things, right? Reference to undeclared resource, instance 1. Where is security group 1? Maybe it is referencing. I have to just change it. This one here. So it's not security group anymore, right? It is called Jenkins instance SG. That's the one, right? We changed it from security 1. That's what it is complaining about. Let's make sure that everything else is correct. Instance SG is going to refer to LB, which is good. Yeah, that looks good. So let's do a plan and see if there's any error. So it is saying AWS security group. There's a name somewhere. It's being referred. So that also will have to change. Copy. Oh, I have not saved it. That's the reason why. Okay, now I'm going to say Terraform. It's saying 3 add. So it is trying to, it's probably trying to drop everything and recreate it. It's going to be replaced. Is it doing the same thing for my EC2 instance too? Oh, it's going to replace my EC2 instance also. It's a good thing for us. It's going to destroy everything and we will get to see everything from scratch. Are you guys ready for it? Yeah. So Romana, whatever you've done so far will be destroyed. Is there any backup that you want to do on Jenkins? No?
I'm good, Samir. No need to
Okay.
take a backup. I didn't do anything much.
So this is the real work that we wanted to do. So let's get to it. And then I'll talk about why the assignments that I'd given you and Saujanya was important. So now when I do this, right? Let's see, it's destroying the instance if you look at it. It is not replay, it's not just stopping it. If I go to instances.
It's time for questions. I have a question. Yes.
Yeah, just give me 1 second, Romana. Let's get it going, and then when it starts creating, we'll it is still destroying it. So let this go on. Go ahead, ask the question, Romana.
Yeah, for this Terraform thing, if there are any differences from the current state versus if there are any additions or modifications that you have added on AWS, you're bringing in each resource at a time, right? What if there are multiple resources? I did a Google. I don't know whether this is a right direction to explore. I have pasted in the chat. There's a link. A use case where you have to bring in multiple resources.
So what is it saying, Romana? If you've read through it.
I just Googled it. I wanted to check with you whether this is the right way to go about.
So what are these guys doing? I hope it's, let's see. Give me 1 second. Let me pause for a second. So, okay, so I've deleted target group. I've deleted load balancer. Hopefully that should remove some dependencies from it. Yeah, it removed the dependency. You see that? Because there were some resources that it didn't manage, and those resources were using what it wanted to delete. That's the reason why it got into this trouble. So now it is trying to create the instance. Trying to create the instance. Let's wait for it to create it. Let me go and draw some picture for you while it is doing this. And the machine is okay. So what I did was I created this EC2 instance, right? Which has Jenkins, Docker, Maven, Java, and Git. I don't have to talk about this because you already know, right? Fronting this EC2 instance is the Jenkins SG, Jenkins security group, right? And in Jenkins security group, if you really look at it from the code, so it created it as a EC2 instance. Let's just look through this a little bit. So if you look at Jenkins security group, here, ingress rule, this rule, you'd see that it is allowing my IP to SSH into it, port number 22, right? It's my IP alone. If you look down here, it has port 8080 that is being opened for only the security group Jenkins LB. It is only allowing Jenkins LB to 8080 into it. Nobody else is able to do a HTTP 8080 call to that. So from a security point, that's so strong comparatively, right? I wouldn't say the best, but it is strong. Now, if you look here, Jenkins LB ingress rule, it is allowing your IP addresses only to do 443, which is HTTPS. So HTTPS is a secured socket layer. If you do not know it, just hold on to it. We can, as we move forward, as we do more, things will get clarified. Okay, I had sent you one video, which is the 1 hour video about how the HTTPS worked. Did you watch that? It's one of the best videos I have watched personally.
Yes.
Okay, did Romana watch it?
Not yet, Samir.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is this, when I send you links, right? Those are the links which I feel are pretty important. Filtered links. You don't have to go to 10 different things to do it. It's one of the best link I have watched personally on HTTPS. And talking about from a story perspective. Mansa, you liked it, right?
Yes, Samir. I
Yeah.
understood very much. Yeah.
Yeah. So please do watch it. When I send some links, please do watch it. Otherwise, you're not doing a justice to yourself. Saujanya, did you watch it?
No, Samir, not yet.
Okay, then please do watch it.
Sure, I'll watch.
Okay, so it is only open to 443 and only open for an IP address. What does that mean? It means nobody else can access the load balancer. Okay, so this Jenkins LB is going to be assigned to the load balancer. That's what we're going to see now. So now, what all resources have we really created? So let's look from top to bottom. We create a key pair, which is with me. If you want to connect or SSH into the back box, you cannot do it. You'll have to come and take the private key from me to SSH into the box, right? From that security perspective, it's pretty strong. We are creating an instance. I would rather want to call it as Jenkins instance. And go down. Change this to instance. Let me just run this. So notice it, okay? I have changed the name here. So what it will assume is Terraform. Let's destroy it first. See what it is saying, right? Public IP, that instance name, I have to change it to Jenkins master instance in the out.tf. Destroy. Yes. Sorry. So Saujanya, Romana, Jyoti, you have not watched the video, right?
I have watched that video, Samir.
You have?
Yes.
Okay. Romana and Saujanya, and maybe everybody else here, go from top to bottom in the messaging that I've sent. Pick up the videos which I've added there, create a list of links that is there, and send it out on WhatsApp message as one single message. That's a punishment for you. Okay.
Okay.
So Saujanya and Romana, both of you are going to do that exercise, and I'm going to compare whether you have collected, if Romana has collected all and if you have collected all. You're not supposed to look at each other's message, at least till the time I confirm.
Okay.
I had to step away. What was that? Go through all the links in WhatsApp?
In WhatsApp, go through message from day one,
Mhm.
collect all the YouTube links.
Okay.
Separately. So you will do YouTube links. Saujanya can do links that are not YouTube. I have said this is important link. For example, there might be a blog that I've asked you to read or whatever. So Saujanya is going to collect all those links, and you are going to collect all the YouTube links, Romana. So you're going to send out a message saying, here are all the YouTube links. And Saujanya is going to send an email saying, not email, WhatsApp message saying, here are all the blog links. So it could be a blog, any URL basically, which is not GitHub repository URL to our instance. Saujanya, did you get it?
Yes, Samir, I got it.
Yeah.
I'll send tomorrow.
Sure. I'm being a master G here. Yeah, but that will give you an opportunity to go through everything, and then everybody will have it in one single place. So what I'll do is I'll take it, put it in a GitHub repository so that it doesn't get diversified or lost in WhatsApp messages. So it's not a punishment, it's a work basically. Okay, so let's give it some time to spending. Okay, let's go back to our picture. So I have Jenkins SG attached to this guy, the EC2 instance. Okay. Now, what I have done is I have created a target group. In this target group, I've registered this guy. This EC2 instance, okay? Just this is one EC2 instance. I have created a load balancer. And I have configured a rule saying all, it's a 443. Everything coming on 443, pass it on to this Jenkins TG. So this is called Jenkins LB, Jenkins Load Balancer. For this Jenkins LB, I have set up a security group. The security group for sure is Jenkins LB SG. That's the security group. This is the security group. So then I have created a Route 53 A record. And in that A record, I have said, you go and call this LB. Now look at it from a big picture point of view, right? This is Saujanya or Jyoti or Surmana or Samir, whoever it is. She is going to the browser and going to Jenkins.lotusops, whatever.com, right? She has her IP address. It comes here, hits the Jenkins Lotusop name. We are going to look at how the DNS resolution happens, but I don't want to overcomplicate it. Keep it as simplified as possible. Hold on. And it comes here, it hits this SG. This SG sees if the IP address is allowed on port 443. Is that IP allowed? Yes, it is allowed. Since it's allowed, it moves it over here. It comes here. In here, it goes and looks at the listener. The listener that is configured is anything that comes on 443, send it to Jenkins TG. It takes it and sends that request to Jenkins TG. Jenkins TG has registered, it can have more than one. So this is where the fun part is, right? You can have more than one instance is tied over here and it will do a load balancing by default round robin, and that change can be changed. It comes here, it sees this EC2 instance and it forwards that request on a specific port that you've defined over here to this particular box. When it sends it to this particular box, again, this SG is going to come into picture because to this EC2 instance, whoever talks to this EC2 instance, this SG is what is going to protect it. So it will check whether it is allowed to go talk to the SG or not. And the one who's really talking is this guy. It is carrying forward that SG rule. So that's why we had to open up this SG for this particular LB. It says, yes, this as whoever come using that SG, it is allowed for that to open up. And that's how you're able to access the machine. Is this clear, or do you want me to draw some pretty picture?
Clear.
It's clear, sir.
Yes.
Okay. And now when you really look at it, you'll probably get a little better picture. So I'm going to pick this up from here. You know, this is a brand new instance. Has anybody done this far before?
No.
No, sir.
Scott. Okay, let me close this guy. Yeah, I enjoyed it yesterday, and you know what time I sent the message, right? That was the time when I got up, finishing this up. From the time I actually finished the class with you. So I think we finished around what, 10:30? And I was sitting until 4:30 or 5 to complete this whole thing. just for the fun of it, right? Take this and see if you're able to access. You'll not be able to access it because you don't even have the key. But if you want to try, just try it. I'm here now. First of all, I want to make sure there's Git installed, right? Git ---- version. It is there. Java should be 11. There. Maven. There. Docker. Running. Jenkins. Running. So lovely. So all of that is running. Now we just have to do hookup. So now if I give you this Terraform, you know most of the pieces will be workable pieces for you, correct? So let's go ahead and in the Terraform and see how to create a target group, how to create a load balancer. Okay, so are you guys excited as much as I am for this?
Yes, Samir.
Yes, Samir.
I think this is one of the best sessions that I'm going to have, is what I'm thinking. Irrespective, we'll definitely get it working, but this is where I wanted to take you, and this is where it all depends on how much you really want to do. So target group, load balancer, and Route 53 also, we will see what we can do, but at least target group and load balancer is what we'll focus on right now. Okay, so I'll remove this one first. Let's Google. So there's a target group and a target group attachment. So let me make a note of it. Okay. Okay, and then we'll open up new one. Terraform AWS provider. Load balancer.
What was that app, Samir? Jotting
What
down
is-
with
what is that?
multiple tabs. What was that app? Where notepad kind of thing with multiple tabs you had?
One note.
One note.
One note. Okay.
Yeah. Load balancer. So AWS LB. We want application load balancer. So I will say, I think it is ALB only, but yeah, that's the one. Did you brush your teeth? Good. Okay, so let's open this up. And let's open this up. And let's open this up. Okay. AWS LB target group, LB target group attachment. And AWS LB. All right. So I don't need API gateway. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's do the fun part first, and then we'll come to Terraform so that we can manage everything with using Terraform later, because you'll be able to map it better is what I'm thinking. So let's get to the fun part first. It's all created. The AWS instance is created. The security groups are created. Let's go look at the security groups quickly. There should be at least 2 along with default. So there's a LBSG. Okay, LBSG. And the inbound rule, we have all of your IP addresses over here. So that is good. Terraform did a good job there. Now go back, look at the instance. There should be only two rules there. One is allowing the LBSG. So LBSG is over here, which is also good. Good job, Terraform. Now, if I go to target group, I want to create a load balancer. I cannot create a load balancer without a target group. Well, I can, but I would not be able to map it to target group. So I want to create a target group. So let's say create target group. And I want to have it as an instance, Maven instance, not IP address, Lambda, or application load balancer. And then call it as Jenkins target group. And the port that I want is 8080, right? Because that's the port that we want to take it to. And now if I go down here, I want to say it login because if you just leave it as / right, it'll keep failing. So Jenkins has a page which is jenkins.lotusops.com/login. That's the default page. Health check, I'm going to change a little bit. Health check is basically for target group to go check every single time. How often do you want it to check? So I want it to check every 2 seconds. Unhealthy also can be 2 seconds. Timeout is 5 is fine, but the interval I want to set it as 10 seconds. That's it. Go ahead, say next. So this target group is created, but we have not registered any instance yet. So it is showing me all the instances because while creating target group, we said instance, right? So it's showing us all the instances that are available. I want to take up the Jenkins master for port 8080 and include as pending below. So it'll put over here and then I'll say create target group. Now, if you go in here, it's not going to do anything. It is just going to say there's one instance that is unused, right? Because we do not have any traffic coming in here. So what we want to do next is go ahead and create a load balancer, almost similar to this picture, okay? So we created this target group. We added the EC2 instance over here as registered instance. And now we're going to create the load balancer. While creating the load balancer, it'll ask us which security group do you want to use. So we go here and go to load balancers. And there are 3 types of load balancers technically. There's application load balancer and it should technically show. Yeah, I mean, network load balancer, and there's one more classic load balancer. Why? Create load balancer. So if you see application load balancer, network load balancer, and that gateway load balancer, we can use even network. In our use case, we could have used network, but I will just use application load balancer for the sake that I feel comfortable with it. But we are really not having multiple different paths to route our traffic, right? So I could have very well used network load balancers. Let's go ahead and use application load balancer. I will give the name as Jenkins LB. It is an internet facing load balancer. We could always keep it as internal. I could have always kept it as internal, but the reason is I'm using the default VPC, which comes with subnet, which are all public subnets. There's not a single private subnets which is in there. So if I try to do internal, right, I don't have any private subnets to put it in. So if you come here and I say East 1, let's say, I don't have any private subnetworks, right? We will look at this someday as a best practice, but for now, let's keep it as internet facing. What is the difference between internet facing and internal? Internet facing is people will be able to use my load balancer DNS name to access. They don't necessarily have to come through the jenkins.lotusops.com. That is not what I really intend. I don't want people to ever take my load balancer and come through it. Okay. Yeah, it's a different question altogether. How will people know my load balancer URL? Okay, so that's fine. But just to know what the difference is. So internet facing, I move all the way down. I will technically select all of them. Like no matter where the instance is in which availability zone, this load balancer should forward to all of them. You don't necessarily need to do it if you are always creating your EC2 instances in a specific availability zone. You would not have to do it. And I don't think it's a best practice. You might just want to keep 2 and always have a control as to which availability zone your instances get created and load balanced. Okay, so for now I'll just select all of them, but you just want to restrict it to 2 if you want to have a highly available system. Here's where I was talking about security group. I don't want to use default security group, for sure not. I want to use the Jenkins LB SG. Okay, so this picture, I'm connecting this dot over here. So this is what we are trying to connect. Now go down all the way. This is where the important piece is. I want to have it on HTTPS. Okay, I want to pass it to the target group. All right. There's one piece which we haven't seen is the listener part. This listener part over here, right? It should have asked me for a certificate. Yeah, it's asking me for a certificate. So I have already created a certificate. You can always say create new Acm certificate. And I will show you what I have done. I have created a wildcard certificate, which is star.lotusops.com. Okay. Just remind me to show you how to create certificate. Okay. Because I've already created it. Let me go back here and create Acm. That's to do. Now, if I scroll down, I don't have to go through all of this technically tags. You can just add name Jenkins LB. And that's it. Say create load balancer. You can go ahead and view the load balancer. And what I will do is I will open a target group in another tab and I'll show you that it'll start identifying it. So it is saying initial, right? And earlier it was saying unused. It has started initializing it. Let's wait and see whether it becomes. So we'll have to give it some time, somewhere around 1 minute to 2 minutes approximately to provision it. Once it provisions it, we would want to see it as healthy. If we don't see it as healthy, we'll have to do something to make it healthy. Okay, and that health check is basically here, which you had said, go to /login. So whatever the EC2 instance URL is, base URL /login is where it'll try to do a health check. Okay, while this is provisioning, do you have any questions, anyone? Questions?
No, Samir, I'm good.
Yeah, understanding, Saujanya?
Yes.
Good. Jyoti and Mansa.
Yes, Samir, we are following you.
No
Okay.
question.
Is it fun? You're liking it?
Yeah, sure.
And again, you have to do this, okay? I mean, you'll fail, you'll Google, you'll find out what the solution is, and that's how you're going to remember things. Even a simple thing like knowing that I had to call a /login URL, it took me some time to figure that out. The health checks were continuously failing. I was trying to access Jenkins and Jenkins was accessible. The problem was, if you go to the Jenkins base URL, it challenges you for user ID and password. And that doesn't return a 200 response. We are expecting a 200 response, right? So it was failing continuously. I'm like, what is going wrong? I spent several minutes to figure out that you could just do /login and it'll work. So I would advise you also try dirty your hands, because that's so it is active now. If I go in here, I should either see it healthy or unhealthy. Okay. So refresh. Where is refresh? Here. It's healthy. Perfect. So coming to the picture, we have taken care of this. We have taken care of this. We have taken care of this pieces here. Now we have to go into the A record. So let's go to Route 53. And I have two hosted zones right now. One is the older one is the Lotus Ops here. So I'll go to Lotus Ops. And if you see down here, there should be jenkinslotusops.com pointing to a ELB. And this is not the ELB, this is the old ELB if I'm not wrong. So let's go ahead and pick up the name of my ELB, the A record. And first of all, check if this is the right one. It is not the right one, right? And right now, if I try to access Jenkins Lotus Ops, it is not accessible to me, right? So what I will do is I will go ahead and edit this guy and change the ELB to whatever the ELB I have copied. And now go back here and see. Want me to accessible? Woohoo, it's a party time. Now, it's fun here. From here on, you know what it is, correct? Sudo. So copy this, paste it here, continue. Install suggested plugins. Okay, there's some more things that I did, right? Let's look at that. First of all, don't like this guy coming down every now and then. First of all, I have this on GoDaddy. I know somebody else was saying they have it on GoDaddy, correct? After I log in, if I look at my products, I have a couple of products here. I have HofSoft, Megatank, Lotus Ops, on and so forth. So Lotus Ops is over here. And if I go here to DNS and go to manage DNS settings. Where did it go? Hold on. Okay, let's go here. And if I scroll down all the way, there's manage DNS. So I went here. If you see, read this over here, it says DNS records. Define how your domain behaves like showing do. And then name servers over here. We can't display your DNS information because your name servers aren't managed by us. Okay, if you go into yours, you'll see there are name servers which will look something like I don't know if I have it. Like this. You'll have it like this. So what I did is I clicked on change. As soon as I clicked on change, it allowed me to add this name server. How did I get this information of name server? Is I went to Route 53 and I created a hosted zone. As soon as I created a hosted zone, I was able to get this NS record, this one's. So there's a dot here in the end. Remember that you should not put that dot. So if I go back to this, there is no dot missing over here. But if you see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1527, that's what it is, 1527, 57, 1887. As soon as you do this, now AWS Route 53 becomes, you're routing all the traffic that is coming on your Lotus Ops directly to AWS. And now AWS is the manager of a DNS. Are you understanding what I'm trying to say? Jyoti, at least, who's got the GoDaddy.
Yes, Samir, clear.
Yeah. So once you do this, then what I've done is I've created a certificate. When I created a certificate, it automatically added some entries for me here. The other entries that you're seeing is because I'm trying to create a SES email and register my domain for having emails coming with, let's say, Lotus Op at Samir at lotusops.com or Rumana at lotusops.com. That is what I'm trying to configure now. Okay, maybe next session we will look at it, how to do that. I'm just working on it. You can ignore all these long names. Those are automatically created by AWS. Okay, the important one is this over here. This 1 and 2 were automatically created when I created a hosted zone. So NS and SOA was automatically created. I created this A record. And the A record is you click on create, you select A over here, and you can map this to alias. And I wanted to go to a load balancer, application load balancer. So I selected this. I selected the region, which is North Virginia. North Virginia. And as soon as I selected North Virginia, I was able to get my ALB. So I selected this, I said create. Okay, that's how I got this working here. Jenkins Lotus Ops. The only missing piece now is you saw me that I used a certificate, right? For that, you have AWS Certificate Manager. In the certificate manager, what I did is I can just open this up and show you. I created these certificates, and you see that I created 2 domain. So star.lotusops and lotusops.com. That's pretty much it. It's a free certificate, which I can tie. How did I create it? You might ask, right? I just said a request for a certificate. I said
Is this
request.
a free service, AWS Certificate Manager?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
I said next. I added a fully qualified domain name over here, which is lotusops.com and star.lotusops.com. I created those. Something like this, right? And then I added star.com. And then I said DNS validation. So there are 2 ways of validating your domain. Either it will send an email and then you have to validate it, or you can do DNS. Since we are sitting within the AWS itself, I do a DNS. So that's how it automatically added the DNS record entries over here while validating it, right? And then that's it. I just added a name if I wanted to as a tag, and then said request. So the certificate was created. Once the certificate is created, while I was creating the load balancer, you must have seen for listener, I gave the certificate, but if you didn't notice it, I will show you. If you go in the load balancer and click on listener, click on edit rule over here. Rule. Shoot. Let's see. That's not edit rule. It's a certificate that I wanted to show you, listener. And then if you see view edit certificate, that is the one basically I selected star.lotusops.com. You notice that, right? That's it. I mean, those are the critical pieces. And we have a working instance ready. It is asking for the username, password. And the URL also, it is picking up correctly. Save and finish. Start using Jenkins. So everything what you had is lost. So this is where the exercise part comes into picture. Now, if you do all of this, who all are interested in doing this whole exercise from scratch, like you creating the domain name and mapping the domain name in Route 53, so on and so forth? Who all are interested?
I will try to do it, Samir.
Jyoti. Okay, who else?
I want to do it as well, Samir, but everything that I saw today from me to see, everything is new, and I have to go through recording again. And
you'll have to go through the recording, and you'll have to like the videos on YouTube. There's no way out. Yeah. So Rumana, there's no way out. I'll be very frank with you and Saujanya. You guys will have to do a little hard work here, right? Because all that will come after this when it comes to Kubernetes and Helm, everything is not easy. Okay, I will try to make it and sound as easy as possible, but frankly, it is not easy. For me also, it took aggressive 3 months to get through my Kubernetes certification. Days and nights, basically, spending nights out of office to get it. So it is not going to be cakewalk, but the feeling of achievement at the end of it is amazing. Okay, and now whatever you've seen so far in today's video is as close to production ready as possible. Okay, it's not production ready yet, because I'll tell you why it is not production ready. We're going to talk about it, and that's what we want to do. Let's move back here. This whole picture is clear. So let me go ahead, draw another picture now. What do we have now? Yeah, we have a Jenkins instance that is public, but accessible to only certain IPs, correct? That's what we have. Do you all agree?
Yes.
But what problems do we have? There are problems for sure, right? The problems are, if this instance get destroyed for whatever reason, we lose all our workspaces. Plugins lost. Plugins configuration lost. So now what it means is, after I bring this Jenkins up, I have to work on installing the plugins. I have to work on configuring the plugins if at all there's any configuration required. I have to work on creating all the jobs that are lost. So what I mean by jobs is, even if it's a Jenkins file, if you tell me, oh, Samir, there's already in GitHub, just hook it up. But I have to still hook up, right? It doesn't come for free. What would have been nice? Would have been nice if this could be kept as a state backup. When this instance got destroyed, recreate a brand new instance and point this instance to the state. Wouldn't that be nirvana? It will be.
So the JCAS does workspace saving as well? Maintaining
No,
workspace.
no. That's where I like the questions that you're asking, Romana. Okay. The reason is, and my answer to all of those questions, even from yesterday, right? You asked me about something about Terraform. You said, can user data do it? You had asked me. So the answer to that and the answer to this is, there is no silver bullet to solving all the problem using one tool. Okay. And I'm really liking those questions you're asking, because it gives me an opportunity to answer those questions. Now, if let's assume for a moment, you have a small pot and you have fire, a small pot. Okay. In this pot, you can cook food for 2 people. If in your house 3 people come, you can always do this. You'll cook twice, right? Serve them on 2 plates, and then take that empty handi, cook another one, and serve the third person. If 100 people come, you'll do this for 50 times. Correct? Is that a good thing to do? Or when 100 people come, you'll take a pot which will make food for 150 people, and you'll use this. Which is better?
Option 2 for sure.
Yeah, that's the same thing which is when we come to technology. There are certain things that we can do. Okay, and you potentially can solve a problem going a hard way with a tool that you know, but there might be a tool that solves exactly a problem in least simplified way. My suggestion would always be, go to the one that is solving a problem in least simplified way. Agreed?
Yep.
This is one part of it. Okay, this is one part of it wherein you know a technology, and then you think that technology solves everything. And my answer to it is no, it doesn't solve. That's the first part of it. The second part of it is, you have, what is this? Can you guys guess what is this?
Mushroom. Looks like mushroom.
Sorry, it is not a mushroom. So let me do it a little more. It's a hammer. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Hammer X, whatever it is, right? So if you have a hammer, what is the job of hammer? The nail, right? Put the nail in the wall. Now, if you have to cut a tree, yeah, you can definitely bring a hammer, keep hammering this tree, and it will eventually fall. But is that what it is made for? Wouldn't you prefer to have an axe
Yeah.
to hammer or to cut the tree? You will, right? So the answer is, what am I trying to get to is, there are certain things that are made for solving a certain problem. For example, user data is made to install something on your EC2 instance when you are creating it for the first time. Remember this, every time you stop your instance and start your instance, user data never gets activated. It never gets applied. It gets applied only the first time when you're installing or creating the EC2 instance. That is what is the job of it. Okay. So anything to do with installation, it can do. It can install. Now, when it comes to opening up your Jenkins and installing a plugin into it, potentially it may do it. There might be some CLI way to do that. You may potentially be able to do it. But the question would be, are you really going to use that to hammer the tree down and cut it? You'll rather want to find the nice tool, right?
Right.
So that's where this plugin manager that I sent you comes into picture. So once you've done with all of this, I want you to really explore plugin manager. And I have made a note of what plugins I had to really install. I had to install Docker. I had to install a Docker pipeline, utility steps, multi-branch scan webhook trigger, configuration as code, role-based authorization strategy. Those are the ones. And then just earlier, I think that environment, something we created, right? Whatever environment injector. That is what I installed. Okay. So this plugins have to be installed. We will have to use the plugin manager or Jenkins CLI to install it, because now since we have this Jenkins, which is a blank one, if I go inside this plugin, manage plugins over here, I can go to available. I will have to go here. I'll have to do Docker to get the Docker and Docker pipeline installed. To you, you might say, oh, Samir, it's easy. Why are you fussing so much about it? But what I'm saying is, wouldn't it be nice that from installing the Jenkins to installing the plugins to configuring the plugins, if at all any configuration required, is all done as part of automation? Wouldn't that make your life easy? Because then you don't have to remember writing things up like this, which are the plugins that are required for you. There might be a developer who will come and install some new plugin and you've already forgotten about it. So if we have a place where we tell them, hey, you know what, we have a configuration. If you ever need a plugin, put it up in that code and run the code. It'll install the plugin automatically, because if we ever have to destroy and recreate it, we don't have to go asking people what are the plugins that are required. Does that sound interesting? Yeah. All right. So that's
question, Samir, quick
yep.
question.
Yep.
Not that I'm doubting or the automation or saving the state, right?
Mm-hmm.
What automation will bring. But in a real-time production environment, do we always destroy the instance like we are doing here, or not really?
Sorry. What's the question, Romana?
For our exercise, we are destroying the instances, right? Every time we are done with the job and recreating again, bringing in automation. But is that the case in a real production?
Of course, I'll give you, and that's where I said yesterday, right? We are building a platform which actually I can go and sell someday. So look at it this way. You have your team. Right? A lot of guys, hundreds of guys sitting and accessing your Jenkins, or at least your team. This, let's assume this is the development DevOps team, and then you have hundreds of dev teams. Agree? and Jenkins uses GitHub. This Jyoti will be able to probably answer me from production side now. What happens is DevOps is continuously using Jenkins, or even if they're not using, we have hooks set up to start building. Okay, let's assume that this is in US 1. There's an earthquake or a natural disaster or electrical failure or whatever. That all happens. What does that mean? What does that mean to you? This is gone, right?
Jenkins, yes.
Yes.
This is gone. Now, what are the teams going to do? Don't you think they are stalled? Developers can commit their changes to GitHub because GitHub is in some other place, or GitHub is already taking care of multi-zone and multi-region. But you are only having it in one single place. So Jenkins is gone. Will the company say, oh, Jenkins is gone, just wait for the whole region to come up? We had a natural disaster. Let everything get well. Are they going to say that? No, they're not going to say that. They're going to say, go create a new instance, replica of that into India. Because India is up. Now, if you don't have code, how are you going to do it? What would you do it? In a normal world, you're going to install Jenkins, you're going to install plugin, you're going to configure plugin, you're going to set up all the jobs, and then by that time, the natural disaster is over and this instance has already come down. Are you getting my point? Are you guys getting my point?
Yes, yes, Samir.
Right. So it's very, very important. Cloud, if at all anything to me, what it gets is the ability to get to this world of fanciness where you say, I know nothing is going to go wrong, but I don't have to remain with a hope that nothing will go wrong. If something goes wrong, I should be able to bring this up in a least amount of time. There's a concept of RPO and RCO, if I'm not wrong, something like that. How soon can you get it? So if you go Google for what is RPO? So recovery point objective. So disaster recovery. This is a good piece to read for you guys. I will send you this link. Saujanya will have to include this also. So read that up about RPO and RTO. So recovery point, this is the recovery point, and then recovery time. How much time does it take for me to move from here to here when there's a fire or a disaster in between? That's what it is. Roman, a very good question, but I think I have answered your question justified, and you have no doubt why we have to do everything in code.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
By the way, Saujanya had to drop off.
Okay. All right, I think we are done over here today. We did most of it. It's all on you now to move forward and try to do it yourself. And I hope you like the session today.
Yes, Samir. So